Hello, my name is Roman, and welcome to part 1 of Fusion 360 for beginners. We're going to be starting off, of course. This is a 3D modeling tutorial program. We're going to be going through the basic steps of how to get the program loaded up, everything finished and polished on your model, how to create a model in the first place, and how to export that model from actual in the program to a file that you can 3D print or showcase on your website. So, of course, we're starting off in the Autodesk. We just opened up Fusion 360 from a download, and we are going to be going ahead and emailing, or putting our email there. I already have an email. Aha, never mind, wrong one. Feel free to email me if you have any questions. So, of course, when you load up Fusion 360, you're going to be greeted with this. You need an account to load it up. It's fairly easy to go through with it. Just need a username, password, and an email to confirm it. So, you don't really have to worry much as far as creating an account goes. That is very straightforward. So, once you load up the program, I have all my... Oh, Fusion Basics, perfect. So, once you load up the program, you will be greeted with a sidebar that opens up. Yours will be empty as well. That's why I have this one's right here with Fusion Basics on it, along with the area of work, or the work plane. So, once you load this up, this might seem like, whoa, is this like an animation program or something? Well, it kind of is, but it has a lot of the same like functions you can do in that. You can create meshes and insert stuff onto it, such as textures, and you can also create your own models from that. So, starting off, we are just going to be selecting, or let's get a basic feel. We're going to select one of these tools down here. So let's start off. We have the cube up here. I'm not sure how, if you're watching this video, you may be familiar with Tinkercad or other similar CAD programs that have this cube, but it's basically, you grab it. This is all done with a mouse. If you do not have a mouse, it would be 2 fingers on the trackpad. You'll be grabbing it and rotating it around, trying to see whatever angle of your model is. When you have something on the plane, it's a lot more simpler to see how the plane is moving. But yeah, the pivot is showing you the ball in the center as a test. So, of course, there's that, as well as orbit, which allows you to orbit around, just like how the square works, except you're dragging on the plane. It works a lot better. You can see the cube move in the upper corner. You can look at something. If there's an object, you can immediately go over to it. You can pan, which allows you to move around the plane. It's, like I said, it's a lot easier to see when you actually have something on the plane. You can, of course, zoom in, and you can change your display settings and how much you want your grid to snap. If you're just starting out, I would not have this on. No grid. No grid snap. So, just starting out. You have a bunch of things over here as well. These are document settings, what kind of units or... units you're going to use in the settings, as well as named views for if you have a specific place you want to view your model from. You can create another one here, and your origin or your coordinates for your file. So, starting off, of course, we're going to be going over to this tool right here. There is multiple in this pattern, but we're going to be starting off with this one right here in the models section. There are more that I might get into in a future series, but for now I'm just going to be going over basic modeling. So, select model, and you can go over to line. So this allows you to place a line or draw one on the plane to eventually turn it into a 3D model. We will be selecting this plane right here, just up against a flat surface, giving us a good plane of view to look at the what we're creating. So, of course, we can start off. Since there is no limits to what we can create, we are going to be doing a 30 millimeter, around 30 millimeters. You can change it just by selecting that. 30 millimeter line. So now that we actually have something, these tools like orbit or this right here actually, yeah, it zooms in right on it. They actually function very well. So orbit this way, keep that like that. We're gonna pan. Good. We have a good angle on it. Oh, sorry. So there we go. We're going to be as well attaching another one up here and getting it around the same size. Let's not do this one exact. So what you just did there, and of course, check mark if you've completed it, you're just clicking in 2 separate positions and then connecting them. Of course, you can move that back to the select tool, which allows you to check out certain aspects of it, as well as edit some of the things in the sketch palette. But now we're just going to be creating another one. So you're just clicking in one position and dragging to another. So what I just did right there, this is a good time to explain this. So from this singular point up here that we just created by clicking a sketch, we can drag down a line and move it in any direction. Once you have a point anchored, you can move it anywhere you want in any direction. You also get the measurements and the degrees for it, but there's a special little trick you can do. If you want a point to be fixed to yours, you can attach it to it, and it moves downward with a blue spotted line, and it allows you to put it exactly next to your current design. It even tells you that that is right there on the same level as it. So just by going through, I'm going to undo all this. Just by going through and creating a single line, we added 4 more pieces onto it to create a perfect square. Or as perfect as you can be, because the measurements aren't exactly completed on it. These aren't exactly the same size as the 30 millimeters. This is a little bit off, but that's fine. So from here, we've already done it. We've created our little circle. What more can you do with sketches? Well, actually a whole lot more. Let's move over. So create sketch. I'm going to stop the sketch right there. Create sketch just instantly puts you into the create a sketch pattern. It also allows you to select certain sketches to work back on them without having you select a tool for it. So instead of clicking line, you can create sketch and instantly edit what you have with that sketch. As well, you can move over and do a 2-point rectangle. I'm going to click on this. You can do it on other planes. So instead of drawing it out yourself, you can select 2 different points and create a 2-point inner rectangle that is much different than what you created. And of course, a center diameter circle. Let's use the same trick right here. So this is the middle of these 2 lines. We're going to drag that down and get the exact middle and place a circle right in the middle. So just like that, I'm going to be using pan again. I'm going to put an orbit on it. You created a line. See, this normal circle is unusable or not doable with normal lines because just how it's shaped. So you would have to use the circle tool or the ellipse tool for something like that. And while we're down in the sketch tag, I'll go over a few more. Circle you can change from different diameters. So instead of just using circle, which you can access by pressing the C key as well, along with rectangle being R and line being L, you can use the arc tool to instantly connect points to each other. Just like the circle tool. This is another one of those multi-use bend circles. A polygon, like a circle, but it has the obvious 5 sides to it. An ellipse, which is a half-closed circle that you get to choose the diameter of, so you can make a circle, or you can make it a very long ellipse. A slot, which allows you to add a slot inside of an already existing sketch. A spline, or a spine, which we will get into later when we get into design. Conic curve. So we can go ahead and click on conic curve and then attach it to 2 different pieces, and you can add a upper part to it. So this is like very defined. It's like it can be changed up with design and made more flat. Very complicated tool. Definitely not something that a beginner would want to use first off. And then right below that, you can create a sketch point just by adding, of course, we'll click on the sketch, just by adding a single point on it. This is good for measurements, especially if you're like, I want to know the difference between here and here. You can add a point right there. So you can connect those 2 or just have them for reference. And text, which is fairly straightforward, place a single location right here that you can drag around with your keyboard or mouse. And you can add text right onto it, and this will function just as a sketch. So speaking of sketches, we can turn ours using this tool right here into a much more curved shape, and we will press enter to lock that in place. So you turned ours from a single circle into a more ellipse or bended, just like the circle. So there's multiple different ways of you making it act like that. Right in here again, let's do that again. Fill out on the other side, and there you go. It's more like an eye shape right now. But for this, we're just going to be keeping it as is, keeping it as that, deleting that. Of course, if you want to delete something, simply select it or drag over it, and then press the delete key. So, let's see. What can you do with a sketch like this? Well, if you're just starting off with a sketch, you just have a flat sketch. It can be exported into a STL file or DXF file. Let's say you want to laser cut it or get it fabricated in another way, such as vinyl cutting. You can export it as a DXF. You can also slice the sketch, which means it slices across a 3D model. So how would you go from sketch to 3D model? That would be the extrude, revolve, sweep, loft, rib, bunch of different options. But just for this one, we're going to be doing extrude. So we go from your 3D or your sketched object from being a flat surface to a 3D model. Just by clicking on one of the faces and dragging outward, you now have a 3D model. Extremely simple. I'll show that again. Just by pressing extrude, you can select any shape. You can select more than one, or just one if you want, and you can extrude it out into a 3D model. So, let's say you only want to get let's say you only want to make sure that there's a certain segment. You just close it off using a sketch. So right here, I will close off this by connecting into that, just using a small sketch. So let's say I only want this side piece. I'll go over to extrude, which you can also press E to instantly access it to. So you can go from select to E, and you can instantly extrude. You can click on just this piece now that it's segmented, but it also needs to be completed, and extrude outward. And there you go. You have your half piece. Could be a phone case. Could be anything. Could be a small chair for a dollhouse. There's infinite options with 3D modeling. That's what we're going to be going over in the next video, or the next episode. Thank you for watching. My name is Roman, and this is Fusion 360 Basics.